Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to talk about what you do and what you check when you get your new 3D printer machine. Some machines come somewhat pre-made up or pre-installed. You just have to do a few basics, and some are not. But either way, when you get your machines, you want to make sure that you check every bolt. You want to make sure you check every connection on the frame. Make sure everything's tight. Make sure these wheels are adjusted and they're tight. The wheels on the carriage. The wheels on the bed, the heated bed itself. Make sure all the wires are connected properly. The nozzles on the hot end, make sure they're good and tight. When you change nozzles, make sure the heat is turned on the nozzle, at least at 180. Also want to talk about just basic upgrades to get started, what I think you should change, what is not necessarily needed to be changed. One is the extruder. I know Creality, most of their 3D printers come with the plastic one. I would suggest getting the chrome one, like this, the metal chrome one. There's also red ones you can get. I did have the red ones, but they took the smaller couplings. These are the bigger ones on the metal ones, the gray metal ones. These are the bigger ones and they work a lot better. It's the same ones that go onto the hot end. They really hold the PTFE tubing. I would suggest upgrading that for sure. The covers, this is not the stock cover. This machine is the Creality CR10 S4. It's a 400 by 400 millimeter. I have 13 3D printers altogether. But right now I'm just going to talk about the basics just to get started, what I think you should change if you want a little bit of an upgrade, just for the basics at least. There's a lot of upgrades out there that's really not necessary. I've tried a lot of them. A lot of 3D printed stuff, dampeners and stuff, and some help and some don't. I would suggest just to try what you want to try and see what you think. These hot end covers and fan duct, I'll put a link in the description for these so you can 3D print them out yourself. They're on the Thingiverse website. Also, these are very helpful. So it makes it a lot easier when changing your filament and feeding the filament through the nozzle. And it's good for helping to clear out the previous collar when changing collars. Yeah, just make sure everything's tight, make sure belts are tight. You can also upgrade to the blue PTFE tubing. This still has the white. I recently changed the hot end and just kept the white for now, but when I change it, I'll change it back to the blue. Some of these machines do have the blue PTFE tubing. This one does. That one's Creality Ender 3 V version 2. It's basically the same thing as the regular Ender 3. It's got a better, a much better control board. This is the Creality CR10 S5. It's a 500 by 500 millimeter printer. Prints pretty big stuff. About a little over 19 inches, about 19 and a half inches. I haven't had this one very long, but it's just basically the same thing. Most of these Ender printers, I have the same setup. It's what's worked best for me. These covers here, I like them the best. I've tried quite a few of them. This one's not as bulky, it's lightweight, and it holds my cooling fan. I did upgrade to bigger, better cooling fans right here. Part cooling fans. Some of these printers I've had for 3 years. I run a 3D print business, and some of them run almost 24/7, so there's a lot of maintenance if planning to do any kind of 3D printing business. So it takes a lot of money just to keep these things running, parts and everything. These are the Anycubic Mega X. I have 2 of those. There's not a whole lot upgrade wise. You can do some things, some basic things to them. I've had a lot of trouble with the Anycubic printers, at least the Mega X ones. I've had a lot of issues with freezing up and everything, but I'll talk more about that in a future video. This one is an Ender 3. That's one of the older ones I've had for almost 3 years. This one is a Kingroom 3D printer. It's a small 3D printer. I make some small parts on it. It's overall pretty good. I had 2 of them, but the other one I had a lot of issues with, so I just decided to take it apart and use it for parts for extra stepper motors, wiring, and all that. So I'm glad I did, because I've had to replace a few stepper motors from the Anycubic printers I have. There's some of the parts down here. You gotta have a lot of parts in running a 3D print business, and you're constantly running these machines. Yeah, that's one of the plastic extruders that I've used that is come with the printer. And I still have some of the old red ones I used, but the problem with these is you can't tighten down the spring clamp as well as you can in the metal ones. The metal ones have this little pin. Get it off. The metal ones have these little pins on the screw right here that adjust the tension. so the spring will compress more to give more tension on the filament. Well, the red ones don't really have that. So what I used to do is just take a long screw and what I used to do for the red ones is take a long screw and run it all the way to the arm right here and just tighten it that way, and when you tighten the screw it puts more pressure on the filament. The problem with that is over a while it's really bad for the bearings on the filament tension wheel right here. And plus, every time you need to change the filament and you have to compress this, you have to untighten the long bolt from it. So, and these take the longer couplings like I talked about before. Now, let's see. I have a lot of parts, extra parts, okay. These are the only size that fit on the red extruders. And these don't last very long. They don't grip the tubing well. After a while the tubing slips and there's a lot of extra spacing, and the tubing will go back and forth inside this, so usually means that you're going to have some extruding problems compared to these, which are the same couplings that go into the hot end. So they're really a lot stronger, a lot better. So anyway, that'd be one of the upgrades I'd do, would be the silver extruder, the blue tubing. And if you wanted to, I can leave a link for this. I've tried a lot of other ones. This one has worked the best. Cooling wise, it does great. It's lightweight, it's not too bulky like some of the other ones. And yeah, it's basically the same thing with all the machines. This is not stock. I've 3D printed this. It's a tension adjuster for the belt. I got on the S4 too. This is the S5 and it has it because the one that comes with them isn't very good, and it's a lot more difficult and time consuming to tighten the belt. This one's a Dragora A5S. It's a 300 by 300 millimeter printer, roughly almost 12 inches by 12 inches. It does pretty good. I've had my problems with it on and off, but overall it does pretty good. This one's the Creality 10S, or CR10S, Creality CR10S. Same thing as CR10S4, CR10S5, just smaller. This one's a 300 by 300 millimeter. Basically same type of setup I have on it. Overall, I think the best printing printers, 3D printers, um, for extruder 3D printers are Creality. It's the best bang for your buck, I think. They print the best, longevity. They last longer than some of the other ones. Less maintenance, a lot easier to find parts. This one's another Ender 3. This one too is another Ender 3. Then I have two Anycubic Chiron. They're 400 millimeter by 400 millimeter printers. Overall pretty good. I've made some changes with them. Settings for these things to get them print good are really sort of difficult compared to some of the Creality printers I have. I've done some changes with these when it comes to the hot ends. I actually have Creality hot ends in both of these. These are not the cooling fans that come with it. These are bigger cooling fans that have hot glue to the side. And I've taken out the old ones, they didn't cool very good. I'll talk more about what I've done to them in a future video. Same thing with that one. And the problems I've had with them, I'll talk more in a future video. This video is just mainly to talk about some of the basics you want to do when first starting your new 3D printer, 3D printers, what to look for, what to check for. Make sure everything's tight, the framing and everything. These wheels, the tensioning wheels, make sure they're tension tight, because right out of factory, they're not always put the way they're supposed to be. They're just quickly made on. Some stuff is loose, some stuff you have to adjust. So just take your time, go through everything, change what you need to change. I wouldn't suggest doing a whole lot of upgrades until you've gotten a hold of the 3D printing process and you've kind of gotten used to making a few things, and just to see for yourself the results and everything. I'm going to be talking more too in a future video about what it takes to get your 3D printing business started. Me personally, I have a 3D printing business. I sell on eBay. I do custom orders. I sell pre-made orders of items that I've made and designed. Custom orders of requests from customers, parts, signs, telescope, accessories, parts. Altogether, I sell over 700 items, different items, on eBay right now. I'm one of the top 3D printed businesses on eBay right now. Still very new business. I quit my old job to do this full time. I must say, it takes a lot of money just to keep going. Cost of filament has gone up. Parts, machines are expensive. The electricity to run all these things are very expensive. So you have to prepare yourself for that if wanting to start 3D print business. You have to make sure you have a lot of backup spare parts, wiring, tubing, extruders, hot ends, cooling fans, nuts, bolts, all that stuff. Lots of nozzles. I use the small bolts and stuff too for parts that I make and stuff. Yeah. An air conditioner, because it's going to get hot. Whatever room you put these in, it's going to get hot. You got to think you have, each printer is like a heater. And if you put all these 3D printers in one room with no cooling, they're going to overheat and burn up. Your prints are going to go bad and everything else. But yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. This is episode 2 of my new 3D printing videos here on YouTube. I'm very new to this, so excuse me on my camera work and everything. I just got a cheap camera and just wanted to share some knowledge and stuff from what I've learned over the years. It's going to be a step-by-step thing. The next episode, I don't know yet what it's going to be, but probably going to talk more about getting started and talk about starting your 3D printing business if that's what you want to do, and ideas of getting started and what kind of things you should make, what kind of research you should look into, what's selling, what's not selling, stuff like that. Anyway, just wanted to talk more about what you should do when you're getting your 3D printer. Next video I'll try to talk more about the slicing and software part and some ideas on getting started on your first designs or first prints. Alright guys, later. Any comments, leave me a comment, like, share, subscribe. There's more to come. Again, I appreciate you guys watching, and there will be some links in the comments for some of the things I mentioned today. Thanks a lot.